And I think that's the call to action for men to be mentors. And the word mentor, my personal definition, is men who give other young men tours of their lives. And they model from their hearts, not from their heads, because your head will intimidate somebody, but your heart will inspire somebody.
Hello, everyone. This is author Tim Brown of the book Boys Won't Be Boys, and I'm excited to have with me a true uncommon young man. And the book is written about uncommon young men. And this is one of my students. I was John's teacher in the 5th grade, and so I've been blessed to watch him grow and mature into the uncommon young man he is today. But even in that, there was a journey to get there. And I think sometimes people see guys and don't realize what their journey was, what the story was. And I want to talk to John today about doing this series about how important it is to mentor and prepare that next generation. And he's truly been a mentor and inspiration to many young men and men as well, being a young guy. Now we call him Dr. John Tyus. You know, he's messed around and got a PhD. Of course, I take a lot of credit for that, good teaching, a good foundation. But John, you want to kind of introduce yourself and tell people kind of some things you're doing right now?
Yeah, so my name is Dr. John Tyus, born and raised Columbus, Ohio, mentored by the great Tim Brown. That is it. I'm a speaker and author. I'm a pastor as well. I'm the founder of the ID Movement, where we focus on mentoring young men, specifically in the area of fatherlessness. And I also teach at different places, different schools, and just excited about being here today to share a little bit of my story. So thank you, Mr. Brown, for having me.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you joining me today. I had a quick, just wanted to ask you about how your experience. I know you were a pastor's child, and then your dad passed, I believe, died of cancer. You were 8 years old. How did that impact you? And what were some men that kind of stepped into your life to kind of fill that void?
Yeah, so my dad died when I was 8 years old. My dad was a powerful man, a strong Black man, a man that was looked up to by a lot of people. He was the pastor of the ministry, where I'm now serve as the assistant pastor, and he went from about 250 pounds to about 160 pounds in a matter of months because of cancer. And so I saw it take away a lot of him and who he was to us, and it affected me rather, and my idea of manhood. And he passed away when I was 8, back in 1994. Back in that time, some of the men that I saw that stepped up to the plate, that was just around, I don't even know if they knew the impact that they had, but they were very impactful. Some of them were people like yourself, who was my 5th grade teacher, and teaching us how to honor and respect women, teaching us how to have a sense of identity and purpose, always drilling into us what our parents and grandparents went through in order for us to have what we had today. You always made sure that we understood where we came from. And I think that had a great, serious impact in my life. I had other men spotted in my life that also inspired me to take my life to the next level. But it was certain men like yourself that I saw that was very strong, very much so that piece that I needed. My mom is very loving and kind, and I needed that male figure in order to inspire me to go to the next level in life.
Great. Yeah, I recognize that in you at a young age. I could see the potential, not just you, but a lot of guys in the class. But my goal at that time was just, as you said, to be that example, to be that example to young men. Your journey to a PhD is an interesting one, meaning that, most guys that get a PhD, they're honor students in middle school, honor students in high school, they go to college, then they graduate summa cum laude, and they're in National Honor Society and all that. Your journey was a little different to get this PhD, man. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. My journey was completely different. Like you said, most people, you can see it in the beginning, who were they going to become, right? People probably would have looked at me and said, no, John will make it, but he ain't going to make it. Right? Because my journey was very different. I was an F&D student, and my grades was absolutely horrible in middle school, elementary school, and all the way up to college. my grades was bad. You know, I believe I was a good guy at heart,
Yeah.
but when it came to the academic world, my grades suffered. You know, and a lot of that had to do with self-belief and a lot of things going on from my father passing at that time, and just didn't have confidence that I was smart, you know, and I believed the lie that I felt was kind of given to me at that point, that I just wasn't a smart kid. And as time went on, I was the class clown. I'd rather for people to laugh at me than really show my insecurities, which was I'm really not part of the kid. I don't want people to believe or look at that. I was just look at my jokes, you know.
Right.
And so I went through high school the same way, and became more of a class clown in high school. And grades was horrible. I had to pray myself through some of these classes. And I mean, being raised in the church, I remember, okay, you got an F in this class and you got a week left. And if you don't pass this class, you're not going to go to your sophomore year. It was humanities at Columbus Alternative High School. And I remember getting on my knees and praying for a D. And somehow I got a 64 in that class. To this day, I don't know how, but God got me through. There was a lot of situations like that until I made up in my mind. I remember I was in college and I almost flunked out of college, got on academic probation multiple times. They said, if you get on academic probation one more time, you know, we're going to kick you out of the school. And that was at Columbus State, which is a community college here in Columbus. And I was at my all-time low. And then I really started to say, okay, I'm tired of feeling like I'm nothing in life. I'm tired of that. And then I decided at that point to begin to pray and ask God to take me out of all this stuff, all these lies that I've always heard in my life, everything that I told myself and believed, everything I heard people talk about me and I believe, changed my mind about myself. I want better. Show me why I've always felt different. And as a result of that, he gave me the strength to let go of people that were toxic in my life, toxic attachments and toxic entanglements, if you will. And as a result of that, as I began to let go of those people and kind of grab hold to my relationship with God, I began to pick up books that were feeding my spirit, books from Miles Monroe. I started to pray a lot, talking about manhood, talking about the importance of vision and purpose. And my grades went from F's and D's to A's and B's. And then, you know, that was how it went. And so I went all the way up to the doctorate level in a matter of no time because God's hand was on my life because I had switched around my environment and my mindset. And I began to feed myself life and I started to produce life.
Yeah, I know. In following you, you talk a lot about going from pain to passion to purpose. Could you kind of speak to that in a layman's terms, or that a young guy can get this, you know,
Yeah.
a man can get it, you know, and understand that, especially these young guys, you're gonna go through some pain.
Yeah.
But when you find your passion, that'll lead you to your purpose. Can you speak to that for these young
Yeah, for
guys?
sure. Absolutely. So I talk about the 3 P's of life, which is a book I'm also working on at the moment. It's pain, passion, and purpose. And I think that is the key ingredient that is important for you in life. And I think young men have to understand that at this season in their life, they're probably going through a lot of pain. The beginning seasons of their life, they go through a lot of turmoil, a lot of challenging moments. It's the foundational years where everything is being challenged. They don't know who they are just yet, and everything is challenged. They may be in a bad situation at home. They may be in a fatherless home. They may have a father in the home, but not really in the home. You know, they may be going to school, suffering, getting horrible grades, being talked about like I was. You know, they may be going through that pain season, but that usually produces a level of passion in their life, something that they can't stand, something that they're mad at, something that they just hate it. They just hate things, right? They hate something. It produces something that you're very passionate, for lack of a better word, about. And as a result of that, if you get healing from the pain that you've gone through and you deal with that pain that you've gone through, that passion still remains there. And then once you use that passion for the betterment of others, that turns into something that you were called and ordained rather to do. You know, that's where your purpose comes from. So your purpose comes from, we all go through things in life, but our purpose is actually in our pain. A lot of people want to run from it. Even the young men that are listening, you want to run from it and you may not understand it just yet, but I hope you know that this resonates with you down the line. but you want to run from it, but you need to deal with that, own the pain, get healing from the pain so you can help others that are going through the same pain as you've gone through.
That's excellent. That's excellent. How can we as men, as older men, come alongside young guys at that stage? Particularly, you talked about that stage of pain. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of young men who are going through that painful stage.
Mm-hmm.
Men aren't around, dad's not in their life or whatever. How can we as men? Well, what would your encouragement to men? How can we come alongside those guys?
I would say whenever older men are around young men, be always aware of that they're going through that season. And they each one are experiencing different levels of that season, but they're going through that season of pain because it's the foundational time. So they're the grassroots is what they're dealing with and experiencing. So I think the older men understanding where they went through, I think sharing their stories is very important to young men, and that's a form of mentoring. I think sharing their insight, just being present, being there when they have questions, showing that they actually care in their way. I think that's the way that men navigate through their journey, because we each have our own personal journey and no one can walk it for us. We got to walk it by ourselves. But the best that we can do is to provide insight and personal stories and affirmation, which is what men absolutely hunger for, to affirming from another man to tell me that I'm a man, and that I'm gonna be something, and that I'm proud of you. Those types of things really resonate in the heart of young men and gets us through that pain moment so we can get to the purpose moment.
Great, great. You started a group, you started an ID movement. What
Mm-hmm.
led you to that? And can you tell people a little bit about what the ID movement is and what led you to begin that movement?
Yeah, so the ID movement, the I stands for inspire and the D stands for develop, because I truly believe you can't develop anybody without first inspiring them. And what we did with the ID movement, it deals with mentoring of men. It's really a male movement. And at this point, we've become more holistic in our approach. While we have mentored young men, we also are into just developing the male as a whole. And it came from the pain that I've experienced. So your purpose is attached to that. Me growing up without a father, while mine was he died without his choice. He passed away from a disease. Um, I was still fatherless. But once I began to deal with that pain in God and spending time with Him, and it was healing those areas, that's when I began to get passionate and wanted to give back. And the ID movement came from that. It came from a place of prayer. It was in prayer, and in prayer, God gave me this big vision of the ID movement, and that was probably about 8 years ago. And I saw thousands of men from all colors and all creeds raising their hands, finding and searching for God for their identity. And that's what it was. It was supposed to help men discover who they are. Um, no matter what life is thrown at them, no matter what their situation, no matter their foundation of pain, discovering their identity through it all and their purpose through it all. And that's what we do. We mentor young men that don't have dads in their lives, and we also stage different events that really speak to fatherhood, like a conversation with the fathers. All that's mentoring. Hearing stories from elderly men. All that's mentoring. Writing books where they share their stories. All that's mentoring and transfer of information and training.
That's good. Speaking of that, what was your ID moment? What was your ID moment?
Well, my ID moment was probably at the age of 19 years old. I had just been cheated on for the last time by a girlfriend. And I was tired of being cheated on by this girl. I walked in and this girl was with this guy in this house.
Wow.
And so we sorry about that. I saw her, and I was at the lowest point in my life. My grades were suffering. I was flunking out of school. I was skipping school. I had repeated the same math course 5 times. I found this girl cheated on me for like the 7th time, and I was just at an all-time low. My other friends were excelling in college at DeVry and University of Kentucky and Cincinnati, and they were doing all these great things. And I just was like, you know what? I'm tired of not feeling like anything, and I'm tired of not being anything in life. And at that point, that's when I really made a decision that I'm going to cut off everything that um, is toxic in my life, and I was going to retreat to prayer. And as a result, that was the thing that gave me my identity. That was my clicking moment. That was my aha moment, if you will, in life. And it was found on my knees.
Mm. Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful. Found on your knees. That's powerful.
Yeah,
But we know we can always. The Bible says, "It's train up a child in the way they should go. When they old, they won't depart." You
that's
know,
right.
we may leave God, but God's always there waiting on us. You know, it's like the
Always.
prodigal son, just waiting on us to come on back. And when we find that when we come back, boy, it's good. It's a good life. You know,
Yes.
we can really begin to live. And so
Yes, it is.
that's some good stuff. As we wrap up, and I try not to have these too long because I want to make sure that guys will listen and then they'll get
Mhm.
it. And the
Yep.
get it part is this: issue that challenge to first off the young man and what they should look for in a mentor. You know,
Mhm.
two-way street, and then to challenge the men how important it is, and particularly in the times that we're living in, to come
Mhm.
alongside these young men and understand that they're not mad at us. It's just their life. You know, when you see a guy angry, you know, not to take it personal, you know, but look at
Mhm.
it as maybe an opportunity, you know, to come
Mhm.
alongside that guy. So, could you use a challenge to on both sides, to the young
Yes, sir.
guys and then also to men as well?
Absolutely. So when you're talking about the young men, the challenge that I would give to young men is to make sure you identify somebody with good character. Maybe you don't understand what that means, but that means somebody that is living an upstanding life, somebody that has good integrity, somebody that is faithful to their community, faithful to their spouse, faithful to their church family, somebody that other people look to for advice. You should seek out those type of people and seek to spend time with those people, um, and seek to get advice. Just be around, even if it's not one on one so much, because you can be a mentee to somebody from afar, but paying attention to the people that are good examples of what a man should be, not necessarily these people out here that are doing whatever they want to do in the music videos or out in the streets, but the people that are stand up people in their community, because that's going to always outlast the fad of the music videos. Because people that are popular today ain't going to be popular in 10 years in the music videos. It's a fad, but character always lasts, integrity always lasts. So hold tight and look for somebody like that. I would say when it comes to the mentors, look for somebody consistently that you can pour into. And consistency is not every single day, but it's every time I see you, I got something for you. And that is some words of advice, some encouragement, some inspiration, saying, how are you doing in school? Hey, you getting your grades up in school? So what I do, I have guys that I talk to on a weekly basis over the phone. We make sure we just touch bases and they don't have to get all this deep information. My thing is saying, hey, well, how's your grades doing? Because all as long as they hear that somebody cares about them, that looks like them, that makes all the difference in the world, because they hear it all the time for their mothers, and thank God for the mothers. But hearing it from a man is like no other. And I think that's the call to action for men, to be mentors. And the word mentor, in my personal definition, is men who give other young men tours of their lives. And they model from their hearts, not from their heads, because your head will intimidate somebody, but your heart will inspire somebody.
Boy, you got me fired up. I'm ready to go, man. You got me fired up. I love that definition of mentors. Just give
Yes.
guys a tour of life.
Yeah,
You can only be with what you see, and
that's right.
you know, expose those young men that this is what life looks like. You know, for
Mhm.
being that example for them. So Dr. Tyus, I want to just tell you how proud I am of you, uh,
Thank
being being that young man who's overcome some obstacles to be where
you.
you
Mhm.
are today. And I'm so excited of the man you are today, the family man. And, you know, we
Mhm.
talked about that a lot in our class, you know, about being
Yes, we
family,
did.
about being married and having children and bringing up godly children. I'm so
Yeah.
proud of you for that. And marrying a beautiful bride
Mhm.
and just being the head of the house, just
Yes, sir.
being that man of the house. And I'm so proud of you for that. But I'm also proud of you for the things you're doing in the community, you know,
Mhm.
for taking on this. It's a heavy work. It's a heavy work.
Mhm.
It's definitely a
Yes.
heavy work, you know, to take that on and to be that young man, be that young Timothy, as they talk about in the Bible, you know, being
Mhm.
that young man, and don't let them despise you because of your youth, you know,
Yeah.
be an example to others. And that's why I'm so excited about you, not being intimidated by the men that you come in contact with, but holding your own
Mhm.
with them. You know, I saw you
Yeah.
on that Voices of Fathers event, you know, with
Mhm.
Bishop Clark, you know,
Mhm.
Bishop Scales, Bishop
Mhm.
Tillman. You was up there holding your own, Dr. Tyus, and I'm so
Mhm.
proud of you
Yeah.
for that. And so I want to thank you for being a part of this, and I look forward to just following you and all the awesome things that you're doing. Could you just give a quick word on how a person get in contact with you? They wanted you to come and speak and find you on your website for books and all those kind of things.
Yes, sir. So I appreciate the opportunity, Mr. Brown. But if people want to get in contact with me, feel free to visit me on my website, drjohntyus.com, or email me, drjohntyus@gmail. I try to make sure I uniform everything, Dr. John Tyus. Social media, Instagram at Dr. John Tyus, Facebook, Twitter, Clubhouse, now all these places at Dr. John Tyus. Feel free to reach out to me. I would love and be honored to come and share with at your event for sure.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, and then keep doing what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Thank
All
you, Mr.
right.
Brown.
All right. Be blessed.